whatever age you are, whether you're on the downward or the upward, whatever age you are, the best is yet to come.
Don Ezra is an accomplished financial expert, an actuary by training, and a pension consultant to some of the world's leading pension plans. He really knows his stuff. But his focus these days is not on money or pension liabilities. It's on purpose and happiness and what he calls life 2 and happiness, the best years are yet to come. And Don has written 2 books that I heartily encourage everybody to go to Amazon or wherever you get your books from and order a copy. Don, in your book, Life 2, you gave me a lot of encouragement. You talked about the U curve of happiness. And I have no plans to so-called retire anytime soon, but I am 65, so I'm getting older. Can you walk me through the U curve of happiness and why I'm feeling just a little bit better about it?
Oh, sure. Yeah. Okay. So happiness is a very subjective thing. There is no objective way to measure it. You're asked a question, when you think about all kinds of things, how do you feel? Very happy? Oh, pretty happy, or not so good. It's almost like a 1 to 3 scale. Sometimes it's a 1 to 10 scale. But we ask people this, or people are asked this all over the world. And happiness obviously depends on a whole bunch of things. Not just your age, which is the bit I want to talk about, but how well off you are. Whether you're married, whether you have family, friends, your life, all kinds of aspects. But when you mathematically eliminate all those aspects and equalize them and just look at what's left with the way happiness varies with age, it tends to be a U curve. So it starts off high when you're 20 or thereabouts. It comes lower. It tends to bottom out, and everyone says they want to know, when does it bottom out? Because I want to know where I am on that curve. It tends to bottom out. I mean, this is a national average rather than for an individual. Individuals vary even more. But national averages over 150 plus countries, it's the same thing. The U curve that bottoms out somewhere between 40 to 50 or thereabouts. And then it starts climbing again. And at the end, it's even higher than it was at the start. And so there are explanations for this. The simplest explanation is the psychological one. So why is it so happy? Why are you so happy at the start? Well, what do young people really know about life? Not a lot. I mean, they're going to make the world a better place. That's all going to happen. And meanwhile, all they know is, they lived happily ever after. That's the way stories finish. So they're happy. It's not till you encounter real life in full with all the detail, and the devil is in the details, that happiness tends to be reported as, still high. I mean, this is still pretty good, but not as high as before. And it's those little details, the things you can't make it come out quite right. Those are the frustrating things that cause you some stress and cause your happiness reported to be lower down. Now, at some stage in life, for some people, it's a single cathartic event. For others, it's more gradual. But at some stage, you change the way you look at life. They say, here's a glass that's half full, and the same glass is also half empty. Of course, you also know that when you're talking about accountants and actuaries, they see that glass as twice as big as it needs to be. But anyway, what tends to happen is, instead of saying this is wrong and I've got to fix it, etc., seeing the glass half empty, at some stage you start to realize you're never going to fill it up. And having it half full is pretty good. Pretty good is not only pretty good, but it's good enough. And so your measuring stick changes. Instead of perfection, it's, this is going really well. And so gradually you start feeling more and more contented with life, and then it tends to go up. By the time you reach the retirement ages, it tends to be pretty close, if not higher, relative to the age, what it was at the start. The interesting thing is, this has absolutely nothing to do with retirement. It's the same way at those ages, no matter what. And there is actually a neurological reason The neurological reason is that it's related to the dopamine that's flowing through our brains. Dopamine is wrongly thought of as the happiness neurotransmitter. No, those are the endorphins. Dopamine is the bit that drives us. Terrific for the survival of the species hundreds of thousands of years ago. Do this, look at that, that's not right, fix this, do this, and that helps us survive. But that's what makes us get less happy, is we notice what's wrong. The thing is that the dopamine going through our brains declines over time, and it starts to decline maybe in the 30s, particularly fast from the 40s. And so the drive for perfection gets less and less, and that's what causes somewhere a change of your measurement scale from, instead of seeing what's wrong, I start to see what's right. And that's what causes it to go up and up and up. So that's the U curve of happiness. It was initially done in a couple of countries. Now the United Nations looks at it and reports on it every year, 170 odd countries or something, and it's all that U curve. Very, very recently, the start of the U curve has started to go down a bit. It's still a U curve, like a smile, but people are not quite as happy as they are when they're young. And maybe that's just the way the world is. So that's just been the last 2 or 3 years. But the U curve of happiness is there in every country. And to me, that just means that whatever age you are, whether you're on the downward or the upward, whatever age you are, the best is yet to come.
Which is the name of your book, Happiness, the Best is Yet to Come. And as you describe this concept of going from your maximization period into your non-perfection seeking period, you kind of call that satisficing?
Oh, yes. That was Herbert Simon who won a Nobel. Again, I don't have good ideas, but I gather other people's ideas. So Herbert Simon, who won the Nobel Prize, when was it? 1968, somewhere around that. He came up with the word satisficing. And he says, in practice, that is what we tend to do. We never maximize or even optimize, because it's very complicated, because now you've got to consider all kinds of things. You've got to evaluate them, balance them against each other. You never know when you're at the maximum. So what you do is you satisfice. And the way he describes satisficing is to say, you set yourself high standards for something, and then you look for solutions. And when you find one that reaches the high standard, you adopt it and move on. Don't waste time saying, oh, could I make it a little bit better? It's already pretty good. And that is satisficing. And we tend in, if you like, the second half of our lives to live our lives much more like that. This is pretty good. Let's use it. Let's enjoy it. Let's move on.
Don, that explanation of the U curve of happiness made an awful lot of sense. Thank you for taking us through your thinking on that. It's been amazing to have you back on the Steadyhand Coffee Break. We've recorded a couple of versions of this now. We've talked about Life 2 and the frameworks that you've helped Canadians and people around the world, for that matter, consider as they prepare for life after full-time work. And I encourage people to watch that video. We'll include a link to that in this video. And of course, Don has 2 books, as I mentioned, Life 2 and Happiness, the Best is Yet to Come. I would encourage anybody, if they would like a copy, to send us an email at info@Steadyhand, and we'll give the first 10 people who write to us a free copy in the mail. Don, it was great to have you back on the channel. Thanks ever so much.
Thank you.
And a reminder, if you're not yet subscribed to the Steadyhand YouTube channel, well, we'd love to have you join us and to be notified of new content as we make it available. And of course, the best way to do that is to subscribe to the channel and click the notification bell. Until the next time, bye for now.